number one, Barbara. Welcome. However, y'all went to Massachusetts. Did you have to send their winter to us?
Yeah.
When you go back home, take it with you. Oh, stop. You're supposed to. Welcome home. Okay. Secondly, Sharon, as you're going to find out, English translators hate public readers. And they take St. Paul's letters and take the Greek that he wrote in, and they make the most convoluted, complex sentences out of it that throws things together. So don't worry about misreading. You've done what I've done 1,000 times, okay? So I'll teach you how to read it in Greek. And you'll see sometimes St. Paul makes more sense in Greek than in English. Makes sense this way. I very rarely ever preach on one verse, but I'm going to ask you to think about something. And it's not the light of the world, everyone goes there. But how about that phrase, you are the salt of the earth? Okay? Salt loses its taste. How can it be restored? It's really useless and needs to be thrown out. Now, I'm going to tell you something that both Aniston and Carolyn know very well, all right? And you can verify this. Confirmation evening, is it ever a rare night that you don't come in and find at least something like this waiting for you? Am I lying? Tell me. Am I lying? Carolyn, is it true? This in Burke Poplar, right, from Chicago. Okay. Yeah, this is a great thing. All right? Totally unhelpful, I get that. Okay? I'm not asking you to do something. And I'm sure my doctor would have a fit right now if you know. But salty food, salt on corn on the cob. All right, Fritos. Some of you may put salt on meat. I don't. All right. Anything else?
Pretzels.
Anchovies, yeah. Ever had pizza with anchovies on it? That's Neapolitan style. Very, very sophisticated taste. Really good. Okay. Salt is one of the most highly valued of substances, at least in the ancient world. I'm going to ask you a favor. I'm going to ask you to step out of this for being Americans, 21st century. Put yourself in the ancient world. And I want you to understand three things about salt, why Jesus uses this as a metaphor. Because it's very powerful and hopefully very disturbing. Salt is known for, first of all, its purity. How do you make sea salt? We don't. God knows. It's real easy, okay? You end up with seawater, and it ends up on the rocks, and it ends up with the sun, and it beats down. Human hands can't touch it, doesn't have to make it. It's one of the most pure of all substances. Salt is known for its purity. And every time, unfortunately, we being the children of the founders of this country, the sense of the puritanical, the Puritans and their own issues with sexuality, we associate purity with sexuality and holy. That's cutting it short. Purity has to do with the standard that you have. When something is pure, it's the right standard. It's a high standard. And our culture is pretty much known as a culture of very low standards. All right? In terms of our honesty, our diligence in work, fulfilling commitments, speech, I can go on, okay? And there's a reminder that a person who is a believer in Jesus shouldn't be ashamed to hold him or herself up to a higher standard. To be pure in that sense. The letter of James talks about it from another way. The letter of James says, don't be stained by the world. Don't let the standards of the culture bring you down to their level. And that's what salt is about. Salt is about purity, number one. Salt is also antiseptic, you know that. The phrase, rubbing salt on a wound, what's the purpose of that? It cleans the wound out, okay? It makes it better. It has a healing property to it. Hurts like a son of a gun, but sometimes to be healed, that's what you need. We're called to be salt of the earth, to have a certain antiseptic influence on others. Now I'm going to be very, very blunt here, all right? So give you an experience that just happened a week ago. But it's happened to us all. You all know, whether it's in family context, or you're with your neighbors, you're at a party with some friends, maybe you have a couple of drinks, adult beverages of sorts, okay, or in the workplace, isn't it true? There are certain groups of people you can be around, and you can let your own standards accommodate. So it becomes very easy to tell that racist joke, or to gossip. or to sink to a level that normally you wouldn't do in like a year. Okay? A week and a half ago, I take the train to go to Manhattan because I teach at the seminary. So I'm getting on the train, and there's a group of guys who are sitting in a car, and the car's pretty empty. And they are obviously in the midst of a conversation where they are discussing the female physical attributes of one of their coworkers. Okay? I get on the train, I take off the scarf, and I show color. I did it on purpose. Okay? And then in this whole empty car, I sat next to him. It shouldn't make a difference, should it? Think about it. But the point is, we can be around people that we would never tell that story or make that comment. And the point of it all is, that's the way we should be always. That's the antiseptic notion of being a Christian. We should not only be people who avoid being stained by the world, but we should be those who raise the world up to the values of Jesus Christ. That's what we should be. That's what we're called to be. The third thing about salt, let's be honest, it tastes good, doesn't it? For those of you now, some of you may be like me and probably have more of it than you should. That's another issue there. But food without salt is like, is there anything sadder, more pathetic, more useless than wet, soggy, stale potato chips? Really. So Christianity is supposed to be to life what salt is to food. All right? And what I mean by that is, isn't it amazing that people think of us believing Christians as being sad, morose, boring people? Christianity is not supposed to be that at all. Right? Hopefully, Christianity brings to the world a little zest, a light heart, happiness. Okay? And this has always been, this is not just looking at TV evangelicals making fun of them. I can read to you something because I'm a closet historian. And I remember from one of my history classes, there was one of these Roman emperors who was very notorious for his butchering of Christians. And from his biography, it is said that he claims to have said this as he sent a group off to die in the arena. He says, this is a quote, "Have you looked at these Christians lately? Hollow-eyed, pale-cheeked, flat-breasted, each one of them. They brood their lives away. They're unspurred by ambition. The sun shines on them, they don't see it. The earth offers its fullness, they don't desire it. No, all they desire is to renounce and to suffer and to come here and die." And that's how we evaluated Christians. Now there's a certain mark of courage in that. I'm not going there. But it's almost as if you have to apologize to those who don't come and worship and say, "Hey, yeah, I went to St. John's, and you know what? I didn't leave totally depressed." You know? We need to rediscover something. You all were here. If you were not here, you were in another church on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, and you heard the gospel, the song of the angels, talking to the shepherd saying, "Hey, look, I bring you good news of great joy." And that is what Christianity is supposed to be about. The joy that Christ has redeemed us. We are reconciled with God and reconciled with each other. We should share that with others. And if they see us living that way, there's a hope for them. But if they don't see it within us, why would they want to join us? Why would they want to come here? If we lose our saltiness, we lose what ties us to Christ and the Father and the Spirit. We lose our purpose of being Christians. So, these are not my words. The Lord's words. Be salt. Be a standard of purity. Be antiseptic. Radiate a joyful life. Otherwise, if we don't, if our righteousness is no better than the scribes and the Pharisees, we're useless.
Amen.